tape for? Didn't you say it's only like 20 minutes or something?
29.
You just gotta let it sit there.
And just whatever we start talking about is what we start talking about.
Hmm?
How long have you known you were an empath?
How long have I known?
Not just I'm empathetic towards, but when you know.
I would say in my 30s, early 30s.
Did you ever use it to your advantage? To take advantage of that ability?
I don't think of that ability. I think the only ability I ever took advantage of was seeing the world through a woman's eyes, maybe. That might have been about the only.
Well, that's empathic.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. So I would say then, many times I used it to my advantage. I would say, and of course that's something that even goes along with darkness, right? Dark times. That's something I have to live with, and.
But you said you've reached a state of forgiveness.
Yeah. Oh yes. Yes, you have to.
And that the girls, for the most part, have forgiven you too, and it's not an issue anymore.
That's right.
It hurt at the time, obviously.
Yes. I mean, I'm sure there's I know one or two that, at least on the surface, haven't forgiven me, but I don't know if they haven't forgiven me or they just.
Perhaps I think, honestly, when you say that, in my experience, it's something they want so bad and can't have. It's almost a bitterness that lingers. It's nothing against you personally.
Yeah. Yeah. I would have
I've seen it personally in my own life.
Yeah.
My own mother, and I'll have to get into the details, but it's something that they can't have that they wanted so bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes some of them were very brief and in the scale of relationships, like something that only lasted maybe 3 or 4 months, which is a decent amount of time, but I've been in 11-year relationships. I've been in a lot of long relationships, right? I don't really. It's hard for me to put into words about relationships and stuff. Well, there's a lot of heartbreak on both sides. My side, and I've broken a lot of hearts, I guess.
Yeah, but we had a tiny little discussion about how that can actually be used as a resource to help people when you understand heartbreak and when you understand disillusionment.
Yeah.
Right? You say when you go to clinics, for example, you're at the doctors and whatnot, and old friends, old people you haven't seen for years are able to open up to you because they sense that about you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, there's so much dark that I've been through in my life too that it's always, it always is going to help moving forward. But I hate to go back to it, but forgiveness of myself is the biggest advantage, not advantage, but the biggest tool for moving forward and not dwelling on the past and letting negative juju get you. Everything's in the past. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody's done horrible things in life. I wouldn't say I've done anything horrible.
No, but I've also seen. Sorry.
Go ahead, no, finish.
It's just because a lot of people have to stew in that, and they're almost waiting for someone like you to come by and exonerate them, to know that someone else understands where they are.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? For last week, we talked about the good juju, the good stuff that we know that you do. You're handing out the sandwiches, building the decks, giving the clothing drives, the Autistic Children's Foundation. Yeah. But this is more about the empathic abilities of you giving to people in ways that other people, not everyone can do, because they're not tapped in that deep to their own empathy. And so when they see someone who's not only got that empathy, but has been through some very dark experiences, you can help walk them through it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's about the experiences, right? That's what I think a a lot of people say wisdom, things like that. It's all experience. I've experienced so much darkness. I've been through, you know, terrible things, addiction, depression, you know, even suicidal, right? Everybody, you know, people who feel that way, you feel like you're alone. You're the only one who ever
right.
feels that, but
That's right.
that's not the case. It's the furthest thing from the truth, right? But yeah, I mean, so much darkness, and I was so close to just staying on that road of just depression and anxiety and letting drugs rule my life, right? And now I'm back, you know, I made the right choices, went down the other road. And, you know, you can never say that that I've beaten depression, that I've beaten anxiety, anything like that, but it will never beat me again. That's all I can say. And as far as addiction goes, well, you know, that's a day-to-day thing, but it's right now I don't crave anything like that. I've been sober for a few years, well, quite a while. I wouldn't have a number for that, but it's been quite a while. It's not something that would ever rule my life again. But that is how I can help people, and you know, I can, you know, people are more receptive when they know someone's been down the same road as them. You can't just come in and preach good when you've never had the bad, right?
Well, it's not only that, but if I've noticed at the clinics or if you go to an NA meeting, they can all tell their own story, but what about the story that speaks to them through their own eyes? That, like you said, through a woman's eyes, you're actually being able to relate to their story through your own. That you know, they're not just unrelated. Like I had this. I'm person A. I had this problem. Now I'm person B, and I had person B's problem, and they don't really intersect. Yours seem to intersect with a lot of people that you meet and have known through the years, and the fact that you're still alive and have a lot of your goodness and your original self intact is a testimony to the good that you can do as an empath by connecting to other people that way.
Yeah, for sure.
I know you can't talk names, but
No.
just tell me, for example, what could we say? What would you expect? What did you expect when you first go to the doctors or go to a clinic, for example, and you see faces that you know, you just couldn't believe were there? You know what I mean?
What did I feel?
Yeah.
Shock on some of them, but a lot of them, you know, a lot of people that I grew up with, or not necessarily grew up with, but went to school with, a lot of us walked the same road, and it all kind of leads. This is my thought about addiction. A lot of people say it's a disease and everything else, and I might not necessarily agree with that, but I think what a lot of it is people have depression, they have anxiety, they have all this stuff, and it's so hard in our system that they self-medicate, and that's what it comes down to. Like the people that I've known that had the same problems that I have with addiction, like the same kind of drugs and stuff, were, you know, it was always the same reason, to self-medicate, right? That's a big problem in our society right now is, you know, obviously depression, anxiety, how to treat it.
I know you don't believe it's just an opioid crisis or a narcotics crisis. You believe it's actually something much more emotional and spiritual.
Yeah, for sure. It's not just, people use it for, it's not just physical pain, it's emotional pain, and it takes that away, but very briefly, right? It's not a solution. The solution is forgiving yourself, not dwelling on the past. And again, I shouldn't say solution, because that, I believe, is a disease. You something that I will always battle with, but you gotta be armed with the right tools to come out on top, right? I love to talk to people that have these issues. I love to try to help them out, share experiences. That is the best way to get to somebody, right?
Or just the ability to open up like that.
Yeah, for sure. Suicide's a horrible, horrible thing. I hate hearing things about, people say what a coward and things like that, but these are the same people that don't know what it's like to wake up every day and fight the urge to take your own life, to live. It takes more strength, inner strength, than anything I've ever gone through in my life. I can tell you that. For me, it was more of the people in my life who I love and who have love for me. Not just family, the people I chose to be my family. And I could never leave that behind and have those people, that's all they would ever remember me for, but that's me. But it's a horrible, horrible disease. And I don't know what we can do as a society to change this, but
Never mind society. You just have what you do. You
yeah.
don't have to worry about society.
But I'm only one person, right?
Wow, right now, Lava Life's going wild with new what we say? New profiles signing up right now. Where do I meet this Jedi chair? Is he for real or is this just a camera trick?
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
Once upon a time you would. So that's what I'm getting now, is you have a firmer sense of self.
Yeah.
Aside from the battles of suicide, the battles of addiction, they seemed almost like they were rooted in the sense of self, a precarious sense of, because you used to be like a ladies' man, you used to want all the Facebook and this and that.
Well,
You don't seem too concerned about that compared to where you were like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
You don't seem too concerned about any of that stuff.
No, that's not, to me, that's not important anymore. When I meet the right person, and, then that's a different story. But right now, that's not important to me. Just dating and going wild, and I don't want to get into any stories, but being a ladies' man like that.
Always preening your looks, I have to say.
Yeah.
There was a guy I knew once upon a time
Oh my goodness, Tanny.
who would preen your.
Jim.
There we go. I told you, it's back into the creatine wilderness.
Yeah, those times are all gone.
Gotta pump them up.
Oh yeah, but no, I don't need that kind of stuff right now. I'm happy helping other people. That's where that's my drug. That's what makes me.
That's what I was getting at. Forget society. If this is what you're doing and it's bringing you good juju, what other people are doing, that's out of your control.
Yeah.
That's actually a temptation, is to actually try and make other people be something where they're not at. You know what I mean? I've told you about me 20 minutes ago. That was always my thing. Is if I'm forcing the force and trying to control other people to be as I'm being or doing what I'm doing, that brings me the suffering, and I'm the one that ends up with the negative feedback. Yeah. Hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it did make sense. Yeah. I know, that's just one thing that's close to my heart is suicide and depression and all that. It does, so many people don't make it back from the path that I was on.
No.
Right?
No, you're looking at an artifact.
So if there's anything I can do to help one person, then.
Could you see yourself in a counseling role?
Yeah, I'm sure I could.
To us, a child is born.
Sorry?
To us, a child is born. Everlasting Father, mighty in battle, wonderful counselor, Prince of Peace. You're a man of peace. You're always trying to make the best of peace.
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely a very peaceful man. A lot has changed in my life, right? But that part of me was always there. It just got masked through all the darkness.
Yes.
But there's always been, me since I was a kid. when we were how old in Seneca, I was helping
Oh,
the
let me say it. Let me
autistic
say it. Let
kid.
me say that. You used to help the TAs. Don't promote yourself there.
Okay.
But the self flattery is a very dangerous drug, my friend. He did. He used to help the disabled kids in our school. They used to call them TAs. I don't know what that stands for. I know there's words we can't use anymore to describe them that would be much more descriptive, but
Yes.
we'd all be playing baseball and laughing at them and this and that. We'd be playing murder ball, laughing at them, this and that. What are you hanging out with the TAs for? It didn't matter. They're Nathan, Vartan, Philip,
Brian.
Brian. That's it. Those are the four I remember. I remember.
There was only a very few people, right? And I wasn't trying to get at self-promotion because I'm
No,
not
you weren't.
like that. You know that. What I was trying to do is just show that there was a time that I was really, really good and really,
Yeah.
you know. And then I went into a dark time. That was all I was.
I always bring that up. I used to always bring that up. Remember? I remember that because you used to always say, "No, that Jared's gone. That Jared's dead," and I'd say, "Oh,
Yeah,
I know four TAs that think differently, man."
that's right.
I'd always bring that up. It
And
doesn't die.
that's right. And when I made that turn to the positive side, it's the
Yeah.
best thing
Yeah.
that's ever happened to me.
You're the modern day Jean Vanier. That's who I couldn't figure it out. Who's this guy gonna be? What actor could I put on him? It's no actor at all. It's Jean Vanier. You know Jean Vanier?
No.
Well, he's about 88 years old, and he does a program called L'Arche, which is French for the Ark. And he started it, I think, in France, one little place in France for TAs and disabled people, and it grew to be like 88 worldwide. And he's always talking about the work of L'Arche and the work of helping the disabled. And I visited it. Is this for real? I went down. It used to be. It's actually still on Main and Fairleigh, right across from where my grandmother used to live. And I went down to check it out for myself, and they were talking about signing me up. That was at a time which I was in my own darkness, as you know,
Yeah.
living on my own, separated from my wife. But I went down I wanted to see for myself. Is this just a bunch of propaganda? Is it partially true? No. And I went down. They wanted to sign me up. I went and helped with the Christmas dinner down there, and it's as advertised. But Jean Vanier himself, he's got to be like 90. He's on his. I think he's on his last legs for this life. But we need a new Jean Vanier. I think his name is Jeidi Jer, consumer of Red Bull, smoker of Sago cigarettes.